Theory of evolution. Darwin's aha moment came while watching finches on the Galapagos Islands. He thought, these birds are more indecisive than my Aunt Gertrude at a buffet. As he observed their varying beak shapes, he realized species adapt over time. Little did he know his theory would ruffle more feathers than a pillow fight in a chicken coop. Darwin's beard grew so long during his research that locals mistook him for a wandering yeti. Fun fact: Darwin was a world-class backgammon player and often contemplated natural selection while crushing his opponents. His famous book on the origin of species almost had a different title: The Evolutionary Adventures of Finchy McBeakface and Friends. Nowadays, we can thank Darwin every time we see a chihuahua and wonder, how on earth did wolves become that? General Relativity. Einstein was lounging in his bathtub, pondering the universe when he shouted, "Eureka! Space-time is like a giant cosmic waterbed." His wife, used to his outburst, replied, "That's nice, dear. Don't forget to wash behind your ears." Little did she know he just revolutionized our understanding of gravity. Einstein's wild hair wasn't just a fashion statement, it was a physical manifestation of his mind-bending ideas. Fun fact: Einstein's brain was stolen after his death and kept in a jar for decades. Talk about picking someone's brain. His theory predicted that time moves slower in stronger gravitational fields, which explains why waiting for your crush to text back feels like an eternity. Next time you trip, just blame it on the curvature of space-time. Quantum mechanics. Schrödinger walked into a bar and didn't simultaneously. Welcome to the wacky world of quantum mechanics, where particles behave like they're at a cosmic rave. Scientists were scratching their heads thinking, these subatomic particles are more unpredictable than a cat on catnip. Speaking of cats, Schrödinger's famous thought experiment led to more confusion than a kitten in a yarn factory. Fun fact: the uncertainty principle states that you can't know both the position and momentum of a particle precisely. It's like trying to pin down your keys and your sanity at the same time. Impossible. Quantum entanglement is so bizarre, Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. Now, whenever something weird happens, just shrug and say, must be quantum. DNA structure. Watson and Crick walked into a pub, looked at their beer's froth, and exclaimed, "Blimey, it's a double helix!" Okay, it didn't quite happen that way, but discovering DNA structure was no less exciting. They built more models than a kid with an unlimited Lego supply. Meanwhile, Rosalind Franklin was busy taking X-ray photos of DNA, muttering boys and their toys. A fun fact: the structure of DNA was partially inspired by a spiral staircase. Talk about a stairway to genetic heaven. The double helix is so iconic, it's become the unofficial logo for "I'm smart and science-y" t-shirts everywhere. Now, whenever you're caught doing something embarrassing, you can blame it on your genes. Literally. Germ theory of disease. Once upon a time, people thought diseases were caused by bad smells or angry gods. Then came Louis Pasteur, who basically said, nope, it's tiny bugs you can't see. He was like the Sherlock Holmes of the microbial world, only with better hair. Pasteur's work led to the radical idea of washing hands, which was about as popular as suggesting people eat their vegetables. Interesting detail: Pasteur discovered pasteurization by accident while trying to solve the problem of wine spoilage. Talk about a happy accident! His germ theory was so groundbreaking, it inspired the first horror movie villain, the dreaded Dust Bunny. Now, thanks to Pasteur, we can blame our sneezes on invisible creatures instead of offending the sneezing god. Periodic table. Dmitri Mendeleev, the mad scientist of elements, decided to play the ultimate game of chemical Tetris. He arranged elements like he was planning the seating chart for the world's most explosive dinner party. Hydrogen, you sit here. No, sodium, you can't sit next to water. Quirky detail: Mendeleev was so confident in his table that he left gaps for undiscovered elements, like saving seats for late-coming friends at a movie theater. He even predicted their properties, which is more accurate than most weather forecasts. The periodic table's become the ultimate cheat sheet for chemistry students everywhere. It's so famous, it's probably the only table that's been on more t-shirts than dining rooms. Big Bang Theory. Imagine the universe starting with the mother of all firecrackers. That's essentially what Georges Lemaitre proposed when he came up with the Big Bang Theory. He was basically saying, in the beginning, there was a really loud noise. Scientists were skeptical at first, probably saying, this guy's been watching too many cartoon explosions. A funny detail, the term Big Bang was actually coined by Fred Hoyle, who was mocking the theory. Talk about a backfire. The discovery of cosmic microwave background radiation was like finding the universe's baby photos. Cute, but a bit fuzzy. Now, whenever someone asks you where you came from, you can dramatically point to the sky and say, it all started with a bang. Plate tectonics. Alfred Wegener looked at a map and thought, these continents fit together like a jigsaw puzzle. Coincidence? I think not. His idea of continental drift was about as popular as suggesting the Earth was flat. Scientists scoffed, yeah, right. Next you'll tell us the ground is moving under our feet. Little did they know that's exactly what was happening. Fun fact, the fastest moving plate is the Cocos plate, which moves at about the same speed as your fingernails grow. So the next time someone calls you slow, just say you're moving at tectonic speed. Plate tectonics explain why Europe and North America are drifting apart at about 2.5 centimeters per year, which is also how fast most long-distance relationships fall apart. Vaccination. Edward Jenner, the original anti-pox star, noticed that milkmaids who caught cowpox didn't get smallpox. His brilliant conclusion? Inject people with cowpox. Imagine pitching that idea today. I'm gonna make you sick to keep you from getting sick. Surprisingly, it worked better than most dad jokes. Interesting detail, the word vaccine comes from the Latin vacca, meaning cow, thanks to Jenner's cowpox revelation. So the next time you get a shot, thank a cow. Vaccination has since become so effective that we've eradicated smallpox, proving that sometimes the best defense is a good offense. Now, if only we could develop a vaccine against bad hair days. Atomic theory. John Dalton, the father of atomic theory, proposed that everything is made of tiny, indestructible balls. It's like saying the universe is one giant ball pit. His ideas were so revolutionary, they caused more excitement than a sale at a toga shop in ancient Greece. A fun detail, Dalton was colorblind and thought this condition was universal, leading to some of the first studies on colorblindness. Talk about seeing the world differently. His atomic model was so simple, it was basically the stick figure of the scientific world. Now, thanks to Dalton, we know that we're all just sophisticated arrangements of microscopic marbles. Next time someone calls you basic, just reply, actually, I'm quite atomically complex. Electricity and magnetism unification. James Clerk Maxwell, the Scottish wizard of equations, decided that electricity and magnetism were too chummy to be separate forces. He unified them faster than you can say electromagnetic spectrum. His contemporaries were shocked, pun intended, by this revelation. Fun fact, Maxwell was also the first to produce a color photograph of a tartan ribbon. Talk about a colorful personality. His equations were so complex, they made calculus look like kindergarten math. Thanks to Maxwell, we now know that light is an electromagnetic wave, which explains why it travels so fast. It's trying to escape all those complicated equations. Next time you turn on a light, remember you're harnessing the power of Maxwell's unified force. Transistor invention. In 1947, 3 scientists at Bell Labs were playing with semiconductors when they accidentally created the first transistor. It was like discovering fire, but for nerds. This tiny device would go on to revolutionize electronics, making computers smaller and phones smarter. A tiny detail. The first transistor was so large, it was nicknamed the PNP sandwich. Now they're so small, you could fit millions on the head of a pin. Talk about a technological diet. The transistor's invention led to Moore's law, which basically states that computers will keep getting faster until they eventually take over the world. Okay, I might be exaggerating that last part. Thanks to transistors, we've gone from room-sized computers to pocket-sized supercomputers that we mainly use for looking at cat videos.